Well, what is going on YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Thank you so much for joining me. Hey, do me a favor. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you here on a regular basis, and it absolutely helps out the channel. So what are we looking at today? Well, this is not a new knife, really. In fact, I've reviewed this knife basically before, but it was this one. This is the SOG Terminus XR. This was the beginning of a real turnaround for SOG as far as I'm concerned. Now this is the S35VN and carbon fiber version. They do make a D2 and G10 version, which is very good too. But a little while ago, about 6 months or 9 months ago now, they decided to start releasing what they're calling their LTE or Light series. And that's this. And it is much lighter. Now it is carbon fiber. In fact, it's 2 layers of carbon fiber. The internal layer is milled out for weight savings, which is a trip. It is S35VN, the same as its older brother here, but this one is titanium coated. It is a very nice knife. I love this thing, but I like this one better. It's just very comfortable in hand, very well made, and they finally got rid of the one thing I didn't like about the OG, which was this really awful SOG clip. Now it still does shout SOG at you, but it's much more subtle. And they're not SOG anymore. Well, SOG always stood for Studies and Observation Group, but now it says it right on the blade. So maybe they're moving away even from the SOG sort of logo. I don't know. There is a lot of billboarding on this thing. It says Studies and Observation Group, then it says Terminus XR LTE, then it says Cryo CPM S35VN. On the other side it is blissfully blank, but that is a lot of writing, sort of unnecessarily. SOG is still figuring themselves out. They've clearly figured out how to make a nice knife. Again, they knew in the 80s, but they'd forgotten. They seem to have remembered again, which is really nice. This is very good. Let's take a look what you get for your about 140 bucks. Plus or minus. It's not inexpensive. It's not super expensive either. You get just shy of 2 3/4 of cutting on just shy of 3 inches, and I mean millimeter shy of 3 inches of S35VN. The grip area from behind the flipper tab is 3 1/4 out to the very end, almost 3 1/2. So I'm just a little short of handle. And yet, because of this shape, I do love these neutral handle shapes, I have no problems at all. This is a really nice handful of knife. The knife overall, from end to end, is just at 7 inches, which is a decent size EDC. Closed length, just at 4, maybe 4 1/16 of an inch. Closed profile's pretty darn good. We're looking at 1 1/4 inches with the flipper tab, and it's very light. It really is. It is LTE, and they mean it. Action on this thing is 2 forms. You can use the flipper tab, and you can light switch it, or you can push button it. Either way works just fine. Or you can use the thumb studs if you don't screw it up when you're on camera. There we go. I really liked the original. It made me stop and pay attention to SOG again for the first time in a long, long time. And so I'm happy that they're continuing to evolve the knife itself. I really am. And the grind on this one's very good. It's even along the length of the blade. There's no wide spot down here right after the little sharpening choil, which is a nice touch. Other than that, subtle variations in weight, subtle variations in the type of carbon fiber. Beyond that, they are very much the same knife, which makes me happy because there was nothing innately wrong with this one. They've just sort of improved it a little bit for the LTE version. Let's do some size comparisons against other knives you may have seen before. We'll do the most obvious comparison in just a minute. What should we compare it against first? He asked to no one in particular. Here's a knife where there's a review. The review of this is coming soon. This is the Terrain 365 Otter AT. These knives are very, very similar in overall size. You get a little more cutting on the Otter, but overall they're very similar. Of course, this is 140 bucks. This is 329. so you get a much better deal, perhaps, with the SOG. And they're both, this is completely rain, water, and sort of stain, rust, and proof resistant. This one a little less overall, but not much. So if you're looking for an all-weather knife, the SOG is probably a good direction to go. Here it is against the full-size Presidio 2. As you can see, the SOG Terminus XR LTE. Can we just call it the LTE? The LTE is considerably smaller. Here it is against the PM2. Again, considerably smaller. Now here's the most obvious comparison and the one that needs to be done. Here it is against the Bug Out. Now the Bug Out has a little more blade and a little more handle. The Bug Out is actually a little bit longer. It is considerably thinner, as you can see, and it does weigh less, but not by much. This is 1.9 ounces. This is 2.2 ounces. They're both 100 and this is the CF Elite scale version, so these are both about 140 bucks, right in there somewhere. S30V versus S35VN. It really comes down at this point to personal preference. Now the handle is a little longer on the Bug Out, right? Fits my hand just a little better this way, but I've never been a tremendous Bug Out fan because of how thin the scales are. The LTE here offers just a slightly thicker grip, and so I feel like I get a slightly better hold on it, which is why I carry the LTE, and the Bug Out stays home for review size comparisons. They make another version of this that is sort of gold-coated. I don't know. SOG is still SOG. They do some very SOG things. But this particular version is just really nice. The action is very good, if it's, although it does sound a little plasticky. And what I mean by that is because it's carbon fiber layered on carbon fiber, there's no click when it closes. There's no, you know, it's just very quiet. Now, some people are going to like that quite a bit. I like the sound. The old one makes just a little bit. They're both quiet. I mentioned the pocket clip. It is very well done. It's got plenty of room for thicker jeans. It's got good spring and good ramp. It's just stamped steel. It's nothing fancy. The carbon fiber is milled in this direction in one spot. Gives you just a little bit of texture, which is nice. The original had these sort of deep milling lines down the entire body, as you can see here. It was fine, but they've changed it up just a little bit for the LTE, and I don't really notice a difference other than, as I said, this one's lighter in pocket. They both have G10 backspacers. Right. You know, the Bug Out is one of the most popular knives of the last few years. No question. It has a fan base that is enormous, and I'm not going to tell you that the LTE is a better knife. I will say that if you're looking for a lightweight, good carry, well-done knife, and you don't want a Bug Out, and the 140 bucks, same price, isn't going to crush you, give the SOG, or as it stands, the Studies and Observation Group LTE a second look, because you really do get most of the features that you get on the Benchmade with a slightly better blade steel and what, 0.6 of an ounce more, if that, half an ounce more. This is a great knife. Let's go ahead and weigh it, just because I find myself curious. Let's make sure that what they say online is in fact accurate. Okay. All right, it says 2.2 online. I get 2.4. The Bug Out is 1.8. So what are we talking about? We're talking about, yeah, 0.6 of an ounce, about a half an ounce heavier. In the end, I love when they do that, by the way. It's so funny to me. Why couldn't SOG just put the accurate weight out for the public? Because I got that weight off like 3 different websites. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, it's about a half an ounce heavier, but it is the same price. It has an equally excellent blade. I love this sort of drop point. It's got great belly. It's got a nice edge on it. this really does come down to personal taste. I will say that I think the bug out feels, I can, even with these, you can squeeze the scales here, and I can't, oh, just barely, okay. But I really can't. This feels a little stronger in hand than our friend the bug out. I mentioned it's pretty slicey, and it is. So we're going to go ahead and use the really expensive and not at all $12 off Amazon calipers. There we go. To determine the blade thickness, I think 2.74 millimeters or 108 thousandths, right? It's a lean slice of S35VN. I like this knife, and I think you will too. And I think for 140 bucks, if you're looking for a lightweight daily carry, you cannot go wrong. This has been the SOG Terminus XR LTE, an update to their already excellent Terminus XR. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about this knife or any knives, feel free to ask down in the comments. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.